Furious world leaders are lining up to condemn, to isolate, to freeze out, to ditch Donald Trump and his despicable regime. Utter weakness is what furious world leaders see with Donald Trump's catastrophic war in Iran. They're calling out his war crimes and his despicable behavior, but also then not just tacoing, Trump always chickens out, but just outright surrendering to Iran. And then Donald Trump's like, well, I never agreed to Iran's 10-point framework. It's like, yes, you did. You literally made a post saying, I agreed to Iran's 10-point framework, which is an utter surrender and total capitulation by Donald Trump and the United States. It is perhaps the single worst foreign policy event in American history, I think by far. Take a look at the UK's New Statesman magazine. And as this account, Chris Wiki says, it's not pulling punches at all. Take a look. The Fall, How Donald Trump Destroyed the American Empire by John Gray. And it talks about how the United States as a superpower or even a major influential power with authority in the world is all but destroyed as a result of Donald Trump and his despicable regime. We're seeing world leaders call out Donald Trump, and we're also seeing the world leaders who are Trump sycophants falling. In a little bit, I'll talk about the election just a few days away in Hungary. Viktor Orban gave a speech as J.D. Vance was leaving his trip to try to influence the election to get Orban elected in Hungary as part of a plan between Trump and Putin to prop up Orban. You had people there at the latest rally of Orban saying, "Go home, Russian. Go home, Russian." I'll show you that in a moment. Then in Canada, you had their opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, who lost his riding but still kept his position as the opposition leader for the Conservative Party. He just got humiliated in Parliament. I'll tell you what happened. And I think Poilievre may be resigning. He was a Maple MAGA Trump sycophant. What's up, Maple Meidas? I see you. An utter humiliation and downfall for Pierre Poilievre. And it looks like Prime Minister Carney is on his way to form a majority government, standing up strongly against Donald Trump and not backing down. But let's talk to France. Let's turn to France for a moment, where French President Emmanuel Macron put out the following statement after Donald Trump and Netanyahu said, Lebanon was never part of the ceasefire deal between Donald Trump and Iran. No way was that a part of the deal. Here's what French President Emmanuel Macron wrote or said. I expressed my hope that the ceasefire will be fully respected by each of the belligerents across all areas of the confrontation, including in Lebanon. This is a necessary condition for the ceasefire to be credible and lasting, calling out Donald Trump and Netanyahu for saying that Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire when it was literally written into the ceasefire agreement. We saw the mediator, Pakistan's Prime Minister Sharif, even saying it wasn't. It was always part of Iran's 10-point plan. Also, you have the Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, posting the following. Just today, Netanyahu launched his harshest attacks against Lebanon since the offensive began. His contempt for life and international law is intolerable. It's time to speak clearly. Lebanon must be included in the ceasefire. The international community must condemn this new violation of international law. The European Union must suspend its association agreement with Israel, and there must be no impunity for these criminal acts. Now, we also learned how the Trump regime tried to threaten Pope Leo XIV. This morning, I'm going to do a whole video on that, but they brought the main ambassador from the Vatican into the Pentagon, where Trump regime officials basically threatened what some interpreted as an assassination threat against the Pope, saying, we will do to you what the Avignon papacy did in the 14th century, where the Pope was killed when the French leaders brought the papacy into Avignon and basically killed the Pope. They threatened Pope Leo XIV for speaking out strongly against the Trump regime's imperialist conquest tactics and saying they're going to obliterate civilizations. Pope Leo XIV not backing down, canceling all trips to the United States, and continuing to speak out strongly against Donald Trump and his regime. Now, as Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and others see utter weakness in Donald Trump and his regime, they're trying to basically break Donald Trump's ceasefire because they're saying you basically surrendered to Iran and you've made Iran into a world power right now and you've left all of our countries vulnerable. What the hell did we give you all these pay for play and quid pro quo schemes for? We invested in your crypto. We gave you all this money. We built Trump buildings. You were supposed to give us a security umbrella, Donald. What the hell have you been doing? You just destroyed our countries and our future. And so you saw a UAE fighter jet strike an Iranian infrastructure facility yesterday to try to basically break the ceasefire. And so you're seeing other countries now say, wow, we're not protected by the US. We're going to take things into our own hand and try to interfere with the ceasefire. But let's face it, it's a ceasefire in name only at this point. And so with the lack of US leadership, you had Prime Minister Starmer take a trip to Saudi Arabia. You'll see right here, Saudi Crown Prince MBS held a meeting with UK Prime Minister Starmer in Saudi Arabia yesterday. Starmer is in the Gulf to try to, one, pursue UK interests regarding the Strait of Hormuz, which is still effectively shut down for any allies of the United States, right? I mean, 0 tankers passed through the Strait of Hormuz yesterday. Even when the war was taking place, there was about 5 to 10 tankers that would pass through the Strait of Hormuz. To be clear, there was about 4 ships that passed through the Strait of Hormuz, but cargo with Iranian flagships, no tankers. And so, no crude is getting out of the Strait of Hormuz. So, Trump's doing his social media posts, right? Trump's like, all U.S. ships, aircraft, and military personnel with additional ammunition, weaponry, and anything else that's appropriate and necessary for the lethal prosecution and destruction of an already substantially degraded enemy will remain in place and around Iran until such time as the real agreement reached is fully complied with. If for any reason it is not, which is highly unlikely, then the shooting starts. This is what Donald Trump was writing at midnight last night. Then the shooting starts, bigger and better and stronger than anyone has ever seen before. It was agreed a long time ago, and despite all of the fake rhetoric to the contrary, no nuclear weapons, and the Strait of Hormuz will be open and safe. In the meantime, our great military is loading up and resting, looking forward actually to its next conquest. So Donald Trump's talking about the United States military looking forward to its next conquest. Hey, Donald, you may want to read the 10-point plan that you agreed to that Iran has been talking about for many weeks right now because they control the Strait of Hormuz. They're allowed to enrich uranium. That's what it says in the 10-point plan. They get full reparations. America has to abandon all of its military bases in the Middle East. America gives permanent security guarantees to Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, the Shiite militia groups in Iraq, and of course, the Iranians, among other, recognizes that Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran doesn't get rid of any ballistic missiles or Shahid drones, and it can enrich its uranium. That's what you agreed to, Donald. And so while you have this utter lack of seriousness and you go and you tweet, world leaders are like, we're done with the United States. More on that in just a moment.
This time of year, when it's cold and dark by dinner time, all I want is something warm, comforting, and easy. Home Chef has been my go-to for cozy, home-cooked meals without the hassle, from easy, oven-ready meals to hearty, satisfying recipes that make winter dinners feel effortless. Home Chef makes cooking simple, fresh food delivered, easy recipes to follow, and meals that actually taste great. And people really love it. Home Chef is rated #1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. They've worked with chefs like Gordon Ramsay, and now they're partnering with Giada De Laurentiis, bringing restaurant-quality recipes straight to your kitchen. You'll find these chef-inspired recipes across Home Chef's culinary collection, classic meal kits, and express options, each designed to help you feel confident in your kitchen. Whatever kind of day you're having, Home Chef has you covered. From classic recipes with fresh ingredients and 30-minute meals to oven-ready trays and quick microwave lunches. There's even a dedicated family menu for easy 4 or 6 serving dinners. And it's not one size fits all. Home Chef has over 30 meal options each week with choices for different diets and tastes. Plus, it's affordable. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering my listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box, plus free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/Meidas. That's homechef.com/Meidas for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. homechef.com/Meidas. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert.
I wanted to turn to Canada. What's up, Maple Meidas? We see you. Meidas Canada, shout out. We're so fortunate to be the #1 podcast right now in Canada, thanks to all the great Maple Meidas out there. But yesterday, a horrible day for Pierre Poilievre. First, his communications director, Katie Merifeld, resigned. That was a sign of what was to come. And then a conservative member of parliament, Marilyn Gladue, crossed the floor. And so that means she was a conservative. Now she became a liberal. So she joined Prime Minister Carney's Liberal Party. And what that basically means, here's her statement, by the way: proud to be the newest member of our new Liberal government. And that basically means that the Liberals now have 171 seats. There's going to be a by-election for Monday, safe seats for the Liberals where they expect to win, basically guaranteeing a Liberal majority government. This essentially means Prime Minister Carney will be Canada's Prime Minister until 2029. No one's going to be able to trigger a federal election until then. So that gives Mark Carney the stability that he needs now and the votes that he needs to put forward the agenda that he's always wanted. The people of Canada like that Prime Minister Carney has stood up firmly to Donald Trump. And whether it's Prime Minister Sanchez of Spain, Prime Minister Carney, whether it's Anthony Albanese in his election where he beat Dutton, and you look around the world, standing up to Donald Trump strongly and standing up to him without equivocation and speaking with moral clarity, that is being rewarded by people because that's where the people are at. Contrast that to what was going on in Hungary, where Trump sycophant Viktor Orban, as I said at the outset of the video, is a few days away from basically losing the power he's held for a very long period of time. He's a Putin puppet. He's there to try to destroy the European Union. He's being propped up right now by Trump and Putin. And Viktor Orban has been campaigning at this point with J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, and Donald Trump's doing all he can to help Orban. But the people of Hungary, when they see that makes Orban even more unpopular because they know this is a fascist influence operation, and the people of Hungary want to be aligned closer to Europe. They want to not be Putin puppets. They see the war crimes being committed by the United States and Putin. They don't want a part of the war crimes. They don't want a part of that genocide, and they want to stand up and stand up against this and stand with the European Union. So here you had Viktor Orban. He's part of the Fidesz party. That's his party that he leads. He was giving a speech. I'll show you what happened yesterday. This was right after, mind you, J.D. Vance leaves and the people of Hungary start chanting, "Go home, you Russian. Go home, you Russian." Watch what happens right here. Play this clip. Yeah, and the Tyza party, which is the opposition party, the pro-democracy party, led by Peter Magyar, they are expected to win this election coming up Sunday, April 12th, 2026. Of course, we will be covering it here on the MeidasTouch network. Now, let me just share with you this Bloomberg article right here. Trump's Iran war leaves the U.S. looking weakened to adversaries and weakened around the world. And it talks about how this has bolstered China and Russia while squandering American strengths. So people are looking at this and they're saying, never has America looked weaker. You have Donald Trump now attacking NATO. I mean, he's always been attacking NATO, let's face it. What's Donald Trump saying? They wouldn't give me Greenland, so I'm done with NATO. And Donald Trump's like, I'm taking my bases out of NATO countries. He's whining like a petulant little baby because he said NATO didn't give him Greenland and he needed Greenland really badly. I mean, how pathetic can you be? NATO, you weren't there for us when we wanted to commit when we were committing these war crimes in Iran. Where were you? Where were you? And NATO's like, we're a defensive organization that has ruled. We don't just invade countries and commit war crimes. Okay. So NATO has been weakened. It basically just exists this in name only right now because of Trump continues to threaten and say, I'm not going to stand by NATO. This has emboldened Putin. You have all the Middle East countries are looking at this and they feel that completely let down by the United States. I mean, you have Saudi Arabia and the UAE and all. And by the way, have you seen this video in Japan where they're like where they explain what taco means? Trump always chickens out. Here, play this clip.
Trump always chickens out.
Officials cited mockery of Trump in Russian and Chinese state media as evidence how his handling of the war will likely be perceived by those regimes. The taco meme that Trump always chickens out is not just an amusing political attack by his domestic opponents, but now a geopolitical conclusion of America's enemies. And people are just saying this is who he is. And then you have all these nations around the world saying, wow, this guy is pathetic. This guy is weak. This guy is an absolute loser. And here you had Donald Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. Here's what she said. Okay, we're going to continue. We'll consider withdrawing from NATO. Here, play this clip.
On NATO, I'll take your question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. On NATO, can you tell me, is the United States still considering withdrawing from NATO? Is that still a possibility?
It's something the president has discussed, and I think it's something the president will be discussing in a couple of hours with Secretary General Rutte, and perhaps you'll hear directly from the president following that meeting later this afternoon.
And then you have, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. He's very weak. He was on state regime media and he was doing other media rounds yesterday. And he was asked, he was on CNN also, and he was asked about, so who controls the Strait of Hormuz? Here, play this clip.
So the Strait of Hormuz, obviously, that's been a real crisis for so many in Europe. I read that in Italy, they even have school by Zoom because of the gas crisis in Italy right now, almost as if it's COVID era, and other European countries have been hit hard. Are the Strait of Hormuz open as far as you can tell?
Well, of course, we have to see over the next couple of days what happens.
But as of now, I mean.
Well, I don't have the intelligence now at my fingertips to give you that answer. But I think over the next couple of days we will know. And it is absolutely true that for the Europeans, but also for the Asians. Look at Japan, look at Korea, look at Australia. And other countries like Thailand and the Philippines, they get huge volumes in terms of their oil and gas, etc., through the Strait of Hormuz. So for them, it's crucial for Europeans.
Yeah.
And this is why Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, brought together this coalition, making sure that answering the questions what, where, and when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, we can act collectively.
You see like how weak that looks right now. I mean, this guy's been really pathetic lately. And here's what he also said. Let's play this clip.
For their own defense, so a stronger Europe and a stronger NATO.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the president is weighing punishing some NATO allies for not being helpful to the U.S. and Israel during the war. Quote, the proposal would involve moving U.S. troops out of NATO member countries deemed unhelpful to the Iran war effort and station them in countries that were more supportive of the U.S. military campaign. Did the president talk about that at all today?
Again, it was a very frank, it was a very open discussion. He clearly told me what he thought of what happened over the last couple of weeks.
Some countries specifically said, you can't use our bases, you can't even fly over our airspace. Spain, France.
Yeah, but listen, the large majority, including France, of European nations has been doing what they committed before they would do in a case like this. So Europe as a platform of power projection for the United States was in full play over the last 6 weeks. And yes, it is true. Not all European nations lived up to those commitments. And I totally understand that he is disappointed about it.
Well, there you have it, folks. And great work, Prime Minister Carney. Big things happening in Canada. Big things happening for people who stand up against Trump and his regime. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.